gonna blow them off. The pieces all fit, you've just caught up in the stuff. Deliver the goods when you know that the time is right. And fight the good fight when you know that you gotta fight.
When the lights go
see your daughter coming.
To say they all met on some internet forum and got together to make music would make the heavy water cult biography pretty quick and painless. Okay, so that's the way it happened. but that's boring. So for those who want a little more intrigue, here's the not really so much actual real-life version of it in another dimension. Many years after man learned to harness the power of the atom, and a few years before he would use it to blow himself up, a strange gathering of men took place on a night that may never have ended if the sun didn't go and show up. On this night, the world's most radioactive band came into being. It would be called Heavy Water Cult. At age 36, Phil still had not gotten the memo that wearing your pants down to your knees and showing your underpants for the world to see is something you stop doing when you are done with puberty. If he hadn't still been stuck in his youth, though, he may never have met up with Pedro, a masterful drummer who had a secret fetish for electrical current shock therapy. Both of them lived in the lower left corner of Germany near Freiburg. But they actually first met at a Britney Spears concert in Paris in the year 2000. 16 years would go by before they would meet again at a supermarket, where Pedro noticed Phil, who had not changed one bit from when he was 20. Phil had been waiting for a chance to unleash his guitar sound on the world. He just never found someone to do it with. Pedro had just the spot for them to go and rock. The depot train station in Freiburg is where cargo and heavy trains pass through to get fitted and loaded. The stout brick building located right next to the tracks was home to various train-related facilities, a few offices, a smelly basement, and of all things, a catering service. In the basement, there were 3 rooms. One room was locked and had never been opened for as long as anyone could remember. The other 2 rooms were rented out by Pedro, where he would smash on his drums and take zaps and zings off of his electrical shock pulse generator. Pedro and Phil started to jam, and the gods of rock were pleased. But they needed more. Roland hated being a caterer. How his girlfriend had talked him into starting a business with her, he will never know, because once the business was running, she took all the money and ran off with another woman. All he could do to soothe his pain was play the bass. When he heard Phil and Pedro thrashing about in the basement, he was quick to join. And so the jam went on, and the gods of rock were pleased, but they still needed more. At exactly 3 minutes past midnight, in the middle of one of Phil's unbelievable howling guitar solos, the door that never opened suddenly opened. Dorian came walking out with a guitar in one hand while using the other to brush the dust off of his Ramones t-shirt. Pedro asked Dorian what he was doing in that room for all those years, to which he answered, "I was waiting for you guys." Nothing else is known about him. The 4 men waged a campaign of deep, bluesy, psychedelic, fuzzy stuff like no man on Earth or any other planet had ever heard before. And the gods of rock were most certainly pleased. But there was still someone missing, and he happened to be peeing on the wall outside. How he got there is a little more complicated. To know that, one would have to go back to 2003 to the southeastern French province known as Alsace, where, in a town called Fessenheim, there operates an old, poorly maintained nuclear power plant. Radioactive waste spreads throughout a landscape of rolling vineyards that sometimes glow green when it's warm enough in the summer. Environmental activists have tried numerous times to stop its operation, but the reactor in Fessenheim churns on. Archibald Humperdinck loved food. As a boy, he never got to try all of the divine and sinful cuisine that he would have liked. His mother had forced upon him a stringent diet of vegetables and other such healthy things. He always knew that someday he would get his chance. He was a quiet-spoken fellow, the kind who wasn't always paying attention to the world around him. He didn't speak much to other people, but he did believe he could hear animals talking to him sometimes. Having been left a bundle of money by a rich nephew on his father's side, Archie set out to travel the world and dine tremendously along the way. After trying everything he could in his homeland, he made his way towards Europe, where he knew many tantalizing treats awaited him. He had just made his way through the Belgian waffles and the German bratwursts when he heard of the French Burger de Bresse, a legendary cheeseburger with a blue cheese topping. Archie set out in search of his next desire, but sadly, he would never make it. Only a few short miles from his destination, a beautiful naked woman ran across the road in front of his rented vehicle. Archie didn't notice her because he was looking at the cows in the pastures behind her. Just then, a microscopic meteor came crashing down from outer space and hit the left front tire of his car, causing it to spin out of control and barrel roll into a lake by the side of the road. When Archie woke up, he was looking into the eyes of the beautiful woman who had just saved his life. She asked him if he was okay, and he said yes. Then she asked him if he wanted to have sex, and he said no. While she was walking away, he wondered if it might have been wiser to have said no to the first question and yes to the second. Then one of the cows asked him if he wanted to have sex. Archie thought about it, but he quickly realized he wasn't feeling well. First, he vomited. Next, all of his hair fell out. Then, he vomited again. And finally, he had sex with the cow. Hairless, sick, and exhausted from cow sex, Archie realized something was wrong when he looked at the lake where his car lay at the bottom. It had become nighttime by then, and the water was glowing green. Over the next few years, a biological and chemical metamorphosis took place in his body. The noticeable change was that his voice had become strong and loud, but it was the change that was not noticeable that would torment him for the rest of his days. And so it was that Archie could no longer eat. The mere smell of food would give him throbbing headaches and pain throughout his body. As though it were not enough to have to endure, in order to survive, he had to drink the toxic water that had transformed him, a glowing green paste that burned his throat on the way down and burned the rest on the way out. While inside his digestive system, the heavy water itself transformed into a liquid that had the ability to cut through steel and melt rock. Thus, Archie's urine was basically a nuclear weapon. In the spring of 2016, A cargo train transporting top-secret liquid waste from France is detained at the depot train station in Freiburg, Germany. Officials argue over what should happen to the train and its contents to the point where it is eventually forgotten about and left there. It doesn't take long for Archie to find the train. Over the years, he had reluctantly developed a keen sense for locating high-quality contaminated water. Knowing he had found a good summertime supply, he set himself up a small makeshift home in a crate next to the train station. Whenever he drank too much of the stuff, Archie always got a little lightheaded, and his lack of attention would get the best of him. These were the times when he forgot that he could take out the entire foundation of a building simply by taking a whiz. Fortunately, the damage was minimal. Archie heard the music the instant his atomic waste cut through the wall, and it hypnotized him. He followed it into the basement, where he grabbed the microphone and never let go. And the gods of rock were pleased. Only a few short... Fuck you.